It is all over. The 23-24 championship season is concluded. Round 46 was yesterday, and it is our tradition on this channel, the day after the season is completed, that I have a look back and react to my pre-season predictions. What did I think was going to happen before a ball was kicked, with the knowledge of exactly what has happen. We will have a look through. That is the final standings. I'm going to tell you what my prediction was before the season, how far I was out, and bracket it, give it a little review there. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, and some of them are downright ugly. We'll go from best to worst, and I am pleased to say I had three teams bang on in exactly the position they ended up finishing. And those three teams were the 3-year one parachute teams. I don't know what that says about the predictability of the championship or the cynicism in my brain, but I had Leicester first, Leeds third, and Southampton fourth. That is where they all ended up. I did have somebody splitting the 3-year one parachute teams in second place. I'll spoiler alert you now, it wasn't Ipswich. So there you go. Read into that what you will. Maybe, according to my brain, the most predictable part of the championship is the top of the table. We're going to drop a little bit lower down for another three teams, just one position out. So I'm pretty okay with that. That is 6 teams, 1/4 of the league, either bang on or just one place out. And if you've ever done this exercise, you'll know how difficult it is to even get teams one position out. Those three teams were Stoke City, who they're all one lower, by the way. I had Stoke finishing in 16th. They were in 17th. Pretty happy with that prediction. Plymouth, I had them to survive in 20th. It was a bit more hairy than that. They did survive, which is the main thing, in 21st. Again, one place lower than I suspected. And I didn't think that Rotherham would finish bottom. I thought they'd be 23rd. They were one place out, but the headline is that I thought Rotherham would go down to League One. And sadly, the Millers have indeed dropped. Okay, this next three, not too bad. 3 positions out, but we're starting to get a bit of distance between what I thought was going to happen and what actually did happen. Up there in 6th place, Norwich City, well played. 3 positions better than I thought Norwich would be. I had them just missing out on the playoffs after last season. They've just got into the playoffs in 6th. I think what you're going to realize when you see my full table from the beginning of the season is that a few teams I thought would be in the top 6 absolutely did not get into the top 6. And Norwich took one of those spots. Bristol City, I had sort of upper bottom half. They were actually at the bottom of the top half. If you look, I had them in 14th. They were 11th. And bit of credit for Liam Manning. He got it moving in the last sort of, I don't know, sort of 10 games, 12 games of the season. And can he keep it going next season? And they will be in the top half, you would imagine. Swansea, well, look, we can do a direct swap there. Swansea finished where I thought Bristol City would, and Bristol City finished where I thought Swansea would. So Swansea, a bit worse, obviously. The Mike Duff experiment really didn't work. And that poor start very much cost them. Right, I can't claim any bragging rights for being correct about these next 3 teams. And I have to say, they were just better than I expected them to be. We are talking about Preston, QPR, and Sheffield Wednesday. You'll see Preston, I had finishing in 15th. They're actually 5 places higher in 10th. Actually, a really good job by Ryan Lowe. It's a difficult one there at Preston, kind of always in the middle of the championship with 3 new relegated teams coming in every year. It's hard to compete unless you can sell players for tons of money And they do still manage to do that, and another top 10 finish for Preston. And let's deal with QPR and Sheffield Wednesday together, because I said they would both get relegated. I had QPR in 22nd. I had Sheffield Wednesday in 24th, bottom of the league. I did not like what I was seeing when we were kicking off the season. I think I did my predictions literally like the Monday before, and Wednesday were in absolute chaos, weren't they? Did they have a manager at that point? I think Cisco was in, but they hadn't signed any players, and Darren Moore had gone, having taken them up. QPR, there was all kinds going on there, where the captain, the manager hadn't gone. Gareth Ainsworth was there, but in the ownership kind of situation, it wasn't looking good at all. And we wondered whether there'd be any money to spend, but I think we can easily figure out the narrative there. Take a bow, Martin Cifuentes and Danny Roll, because QPR and Sheffield Wednesday were both 4 places better than I thought they were going to be, because of really brilliant managerial hires and brilliant managerial performances to take them away from what honestly looked like a pretty nailed-on relegation. You can see I'm an optimist at heart, because we're going to move on to the teams that were worse than I thought they were going to be, and there are 5 of them. So this did not go so well. Start from the top there, Middlesbrough and Coventry, who I had not only in the top 6. Middlesbrough were the team I thought might split the parachute teams, the 3 relegated teams there, Leeds, Leicester and Southampton. It didn't work out for Middlesbrough. Let's be honest, they just weren't as good as they were last season. We were going off the back of Michael Carrick coming in and just completely storming the division. I think if you worked out the points, if Carrick had been there all season, last year they would have been promoted automatically. But no Akpom, no Archer, no Giles, no Ramsey. They just didn't quite manage to replace the quality they had last season, even though Latte Lath came good. So even though we did get the year 1 parachute team split, it wasn't Middlesbrough, and they didn't even make playoffs in the end. 8th place. Coventry, I also thought would be in the playoffs in 5th place. I knew it was going to be tricky for them without Gyökeres and Hamer, but if you talk about the power of the money that the parachute teams have, and you say, well, Coventry raised that money brilliantly through recruitment and buying and selling, I thought they would get in there. It just has taken them too long to gel through the season. Some good runs, brilliant cup run as well for Coventry, but it's going to go down as a season of transition. And you would think with all those players, Van Evik, Sims, Wright, particularly settled now, maybe they're going to be in the conversation once again next season. Millwall, I had in their traditional just outside the playoffs positions. They actually, thankfully, only finished 6 places lower than 7th in 13th, only due to a Hail Mary bringing Neil Harris back and powering up the table at the end of the season. Could have been a lot worse, but yeah, very much a symptom, my prediction here being a long way out of the Gary Rowett era finishing, trying Joe Edwards, it not working. And, you know, we'll see what they do next season, but they hit the break glass in emergency button for Neil Harris. And yeah, that prediction could have been a lot worse for me, couldn't it? Blackburn just surviving there on an amazing final day. In fact, I had them in 19th. I had them in 13th. They finished in 19th. Obviously, Thomason leaving in mid-season, and erect a statue of Sammy Smodic now. How much of his goals meant to Rovers this season? And in the bottom 3, I had Huddersfield in the bottom 6 there in 19th, surviving. However, they ended up going down. I had them surviving just on the basis that I thought Warnock would be sort of hanging around for at least half a season. He wasn't there very long at all, and then chaos ensues. You then get Darren Moore and Andre Brighton Writer, and we know 3 managers in the season doesn't smell right. You can point fingers in any which way you like, but I do think Warnock's kind of nous and just, you know, ability to get the job done in the Championship would have seen them safe, but chaos ensued. Huddersfield are down. I predicted them to be safe, and they are the ones that really suffered most from being worse than I thought they were going to be. Okay, here we go to the really gnarly ones. We're moving into the way better and way worse categories. These clubs were 8 and 9 positions different than I anticipated they would be. You can see Cardiff are the highest. They were in 12th. I thought they would just avoid relegation in 21st. They're 9 places higher. And we've got to give all the credit really to Errol Balou, the manager there. We knew nothing about him really in terms of English football coming in. Club was still under embargo as the season started. And particularly those first few months, he just did a really good job, didn't he? Made them hard to beat. They got on a good run. They're never in any danger at all, Cardiff, were they? No, there's a couple of slips and then peaks back up. But yeah, fair play. That worked out quite nicely. Really good hire of Errol Balou. And then you have Watford and Sunderland. Yes, Watford was a gamble. And if you watch back the preseason video, I said as much. I had them finishing in the top 6. They were miles away from that in 15th. My gamble was predicated on the fact that we might get Val Ismail at Barnsley Part 2. Maybe Watford, who have a tradition for thrilling direct football back in the 80s, would go back to that style with Ismail. And he didn't play that way at all, did he? And it just didn't work out. And Watford got shot of him and finished a lot lower than I thought they would. It was a bit of a kind of gamble that they'd make it up there. And Sunderland, yeah, just real stagnation, wasn't it? After getting rid of Tony Mowbray, I had them in 8th, just outside the playoffs. I did think they were ahead of schedule getting in there. Really young team as well last season. And then, yeah, just a horrible situation with Mick Beale. And really, they've been treading water ever since then and kind of tapped out months ago, didn't they, Sunderland? So maybe they would have been around 8th if the Beale hire hadn't been such a disaster. But hey, ifs, buts, and maybes, those are my way betters and way worse. And here come the final 4. I'm categorizing these as miles better and miles worse than I thought they would be. We are into double figures for being miles away in the table than I imagined they would. And never have I been so happy to be so far out when it comes to Ipswich Town. As I say, I had Middlesbrough splitting the parachute teams. It was Ipswich. I predicted 12th position for Ipswich. They were 10 places higher than that in second place. I think it's a fairly simple explanation for this one. Ipswich have had the season of their dreams and exceeded everybody's expectations. And even if you listen to the likes of Luke Wolfenden and Kieran McKenna yesterday, I think they're admitting as much now that, might have had a puncher's chance, but for it to have gone the way it's gone, absolutely sensational. And I couldn't be happier about that. West Brom. I thought we might get a collapse at West Brom. So I predicted them to finish 18th. And that is actually my worst prediction statistically of the season. The reason being, apologies, Carlos Corberán. Why would I ever doubt a manager that good? I smelt real trouble at West Brom. The parachute payments had run out. They'd been taken out loans against them. The ownership issue was still bubbling in the background. There was going to be no money. We were hearing things from West Brom supporters groups saying, oh, this is real trouble if this doesn't get sorted. But it did get sorted. The ownership issues sorted, I think, in the winter time, wasn't it? And let's be fair, Carlos Corberán's done a brilliant job there. Yes, they've got good experienced players, and they have managed to keep some of those, players bought in the first 2 years being down in the parachute payment sort of period, even if we think there's not a lot of money there. And that, so I thought the bottom could fall out, Corberán could leave, and there could be big trouble there at West Brom. I was wrong. Finished 5th in the playoffs. Great job by Carlos Corberán. You can see Hull City there. Yeah, I've had a bit of a nightmare on Hull, haven't I? I said 17th. They finished 7th. That is 10 places higher. I don't know. I don't really think I trusted Mr. Iluchali, the owner, to be honest. I thought he might have a try with Rossini and then end up sacking him. And we've seen bit of a scattergun approach to recruitment and let's just buy lots of players from the Turkish market, etc., etc. But fair play. I think Rossignol and Ilachali looks quite a good partnership because I think Rossignol is the kind of cool, steady head, whilst Mr. Ilachali is a bit more, I don't know, straight ahead, aggressive, very ambitious type. It reminds me a bit of Mr. Marianakis at Forest in kind of some ways in his approach. And they did back Rossignol very nicely, getting Philogene and obviously at the start of the season, and then those good loans, Carvalho, Zaruri, Giles in January. So, yeah, fair play, Hull. I didn't imagine it would go that way. I thought it'd be a bit more chaotic, and it's fair play to Rossignol, who's made it super stable. And let's finish with Birmingham City. Wow, wow, wow. I predicted they would be 10th. They finished 12 places lower than that. And Birmingham have been relegated to League One. Unbelievable. Surely this is going to go down as one of the most crazy relegations. And the reason I say that is I remember chatting and doing the transfer market videos in the pre-season. Birmingham fans were so happy that Trillian had finally gone and Knighthead had come in, and the positivity was massive, and it looked like a really good transfer window in the summer, and they were building a team. And I thought, yeah, this will go fine, and they'll be in 10th and at international break number 1. I thought I was going to be right because they were right up there, sort of 5th or 6th or something. And then they sacked John Eustace, and then they got Wayne Rooney, and then they sacked Wayne Rooney, and then they got Tony Mowbray, and Tony Mowbray got ill, and that's a bit of bad luck. But there's plenty of bad decisions before that. Rowetting at the end of the season could not save them, which means Birmingham 10 places from where I said, and I did not think they would be going down. I thought they would be up there in the top 10. Did I say 10 places? I meant 12 places lower. I thought they'd be 10th. 22nd. And there you have it. That is my reaction to all of my pre-season predictions. Get involved down there in the comments. Please don't be a prick and don't be precious about it, okay? If you want to be all no, you can't predict the future, Ben. Yeah, go figure. Neither can you. But I have balls big enough to hold myself accountable, have a bit of fun with it, actually record what I think at the start of the season, come back and have a look. And it's actually, if you're not going to be all precious about it and boo-hoo because I thought your team would finish there and they finished up there, I'm pleased for you. For God's sake, I'm pleased for you. It's a great thought experiment to say, I thought this was the lay of the land and this is how it's turned out. And let's be fair, it is one of the most unpredictable leagues in world football. And that is why we love it. And potentially the most unpredictable outcome this season. Click up there. What an incredible day yesterday at Portman Road. I was there to see Ipswich Town go back-to-back promotions. League One straight up to the Premier League. I still can't quite believe I'm saying it. Check out the match vlog.